All right, guys, and we're right back here with the afternoon games, and I'm going to start them off with the Colts heading into Carolina to take on the Panthers. Really, this should be an interesting game. The Panthers are currently on offense, only running for 90 yards per game, which is 25th in the league. Their rushing leader right now is Chuba Hubbard, and it is looking like he might be the one in control of that backfield. It's hard to say to start Miles Sanders right now, honestly. I think Chuba Hubbard is the better start.
Mm-hmm.
This offense is really just not that good.
No.
Their total yards, 284 per game, that's 27th. 18.1 points per game, 25th. 194 through the air, 24th. The 90.3 is 25th. I think I like. Adam Thielen is obvious at this point. I don't think that's even worth bringing up. But I think aside from that, Jonathan Mingo, he should be rostered. I think he's had 2 good weeks in a row. And after their coming out of their bye, he had a 10-point week, which was good to see. I think being the rookie wide receiver that they drafted, that he's going to continue to get more work as the year goes on. He is probably going to be the future of that wide receiver room, not Adam Thielen, given the fact that Adam Thielen is a lot closer to retirement than the start of his career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's pretty cut and dry for that side of the ball. I don't really like DJ Chark too much.
No.
Obviously, you're not starting Bryce Young. Yeah, that's really about all.
Yeah.
I guess it's worth mentioning that the Colts do give up 28.6 points per game. Their defense hasn't been good.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving up 247 through the air, 124 on the ground, which is why I do like Chuba Hubbard. I think he's a good start. But like I said, Miles Sanders just hasn't shown anything.
Well, and Frank Reich said that Chuba's the starter. Like, he declared him the starter coming into this week. Miles Sanders is now the backup.
Yeah, so he's a really expensive backup. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Chuba should be good, and Thielen should be good. Mingo could be good, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
On the Colts side of the ball, I think it's obvious you're starting Michael Pittman. Jonathan Taylor also. Zach Moss is still tough because he's still getting a decent amount of work every week. They didn't trade him, so they're probably still going to continue to use him. They're 3-5 right now, not out of it by any means. There's a lot of, Jacksonville's sitting at 6-2, pretty steadily leading the pack, but we'll see as things go. They're not too far out at 3-5. If they can win this game, get to 4-5, they're still looking positive. Like, for the rest of the year, they have a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Pittman, Taylor, I think you could throw Moss in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers haven't been good against the run, and like I said, Moss has been getting volume, and I think he will continue to get volume. Downs, like Derek said in the injury report, is dealing with that knee injury. If he's able to go, I'm throwing him out there. I don't care. He has been great. And if he, obviously, you're going to have to find a pivot if he doesn't play. So hopefully we get that news sooner than later, because it is currently 4:42 on a Saturday, and we still don't know.
Yeah.
They play at 1:05, but there's a lot of options to replace him that happen to play at 10 o'clock.
He was limited Thursday and Friday. The Colts are optimistic that he will be able to go. It is a good sign that he was at least limited these past 2 weeks. So just keep, do what you want with that information. But yeah, hopefully they do declare something before games start rolling.
Yes, I would love some clear information.
Yeah.
But clarity is hardly a thing that we get while dealing with these NFL coaches. But yeah, and that about wraps it up for this game at all. I mean, you can start Matt Gay, Colts kicker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it.
Well, I'll get gross with you again. The Giants at the Raiders. And you know what? Raiders fans rejoicing everywhere. McDaniels is gone. Mick Lombardi's gone. Dave Ziegler's gone. Jimmy Trash Can Garoppolo can be walking the strip right now for all I care. Because it is Aiden O'Connell's season. It is not Brian Hoyer. That had to have been the last straw. You start Brian Hoyer instead of Aiden O'Connell. He's never even won a regular season start in his career. He's 40 years old. I digress from that. I'll start with the Giants side of the ball. Daniel Jones is making his return. He'd been dealing with that neck injury, which left him sidelined since he sustained the injury week 5, missed 3 weeks, and will return this week.
The Giants' luck is so insanely trash. Like, as Jones comes back, Waller goes on IR.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make stuff like this up. A highlight is Daniel Bellinger is not bad at football. His rookie season without Waller there, Bellinger was okay. He is by no means Darren Waller. That is terrible to lose Darren Waller, absolutely. But
yeah,
and that's the worst part about it is that was his definitive best threat. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodgins, all of these guys are capable of having a solid week, but none of them are capable of doing that every single week. So it's like, fantasy-wise, do I trust any of them?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to.
I think it's really just Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, no, and it is, because the Raiders are 9th against the pass and 30th against the run. We've seen the Giants' O-line, and we've seen Daniel Jones.
So, I have a question. When it comes to Darren Waller, for example, there's a league I'm in where I have Achane and Kyron Williams on IR. I would not prefer to move one of them off to put Darren Waller on it. And what's their record right now? They have 2 wins.
Are you going to ask if you should drop Darren Waller?
If you don't have the space on IR, yeah.
You know,
do you think? Because I think
they're
it's
2-6.
If they lose to the Raiders this week, they're 2-7. By the time Waller's eligible to come off IR, it'll be week 13.
Yes. And they have a bye week 13, so it'll be week 14. Yes. I would say yes.
So I'm genuinely curious if by that time, do they bring him back for the last 3 games if they're that deep negative? Or do they just let him rest the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, after the bye where he'd be eligible to return, fantasy-wise, yes. They have 5 games remaining, actually, depending on their record.
Hold on. So, week 9, week 10, week 11, week 12. Okay.
That'd be 4 weeks. And then the bye. So then he'd be eligible week 14.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if that week 13 was in the bye, then it would be...
If you don't have an IR spot, yeah. I mean, yes, because dudes like Logan Thomas are available on the waiver wire, and he's tight end 10, Darren Waller's tight end 9. It's not like you're getting some crazy downgrade. And then when they come out of the bye, I mean, it's Green Bay, New Orleans, Philadelphia. It's not like he has the most favorable matchups, and we've seen the Giants' inability to use him. That's a tough one. I mean, yeah, if your IR is filled and you're wanting to drop him,
I'm genuinely curious. Yeah. Also, like, if when they come out of the bye, if their record is so bad, I'm genuinely curious.
They might have 3 or 4 wins at most.
Yeah, I'm like, do they even activate Waller? Is it worth waiting that whole time?
Yeah, I would say try, like, if you're in that situation, try to shop him. Obviously, try to shop him, see what you can get. Yeah, no, and if you can't get anything you feel comfortable getting, then yeah, just drop him. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like it's Travis Kelce or like Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, Hawkinson. It's a guy. It sucks, but it is a guy I feel like you could drop. Yeah. Just
Yeah, it's
because,
just tough because he genuinely might not play another snap this year.
yeah, no, it's the same as like the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. It's why bring him
Yeah,
back?
with them, it's a little bit more difficult now that they happen to win a few more games and they're four
Yeah,
and four.
yeah,
So they're sitting in a position where it's like they're a bit more in limbo. But with this one, it feels more like I feel more confident that we've seen the end of Darren Waller for this year.
yeah. No,
Just
it's very
because, yeah,
possible.
it's like, why bring him back for, 4 weeks, 3 weeks on
Yeah,
just given his injury history and so on and so forth. They paid him a bunch of money. But yeah, it's just something I was
yeah. No,
curious as to what you thought.
no, absolutely. I'd say yeah. In that situation, it's you could drop him. It's may not be worth holding on to. And I mean, to go to the Raiders side of the ball, it is the same as always. It is very simple. Aiden O'Connell, obviously not starting. You're hoping he has some success. The Giants are 12th against the pass, 24th against the rush, so it's kind of similar. Both teams, solid against the pass, terrible against the rush. Josh Jacobs is a must start. Devontae Adams is a must start. And Jacoby Myers is a must start. Michael Mayer,
I'm genuinely hoping with this change in coaching staff that they just do the right thing and throw their star the damn ball.
mm-hmm. And I think
Like,
we're going to see, and we'll have to see, but I keep an eye on Hunter Renfrow. Keep an eye on his development. He was one of the guys that came out and said, we no longer have to walk on eggshells in the locker room. If someone is going to benefit the most, it's going to be Renfrow because he's had zero involvement and he is a talented receiver, very talented. So we'll have to see. But he's just someone to monitor, not roster by any means, but monitor in coming into this game. Michael Mayer, I'm not comfortable starting. Obviously not Austin Hooper. Daniel Carlson, I am not starting. It's just until we see some more consistent weeks. He's had more than 6 fantasy points in a game one time where he kicked for 13. Something I'm interested in this week is the Raiders defense. I am thinking about starting the Raiders defense this week. And it just depends with your buys and everything, depends how high you are on the Giants. But when the Darren Waller news came out that he is on IR, Saquon's going to do Saquon things, but they should be able to get after Daniel Jones, and they very well could pick him off. We just, it's something worth mentioning. I'm not saying by any means go out and get them and you have to start them, but depending on your situation, the Raiders defense will obviously be available on the waiver wire. They got 15 against the Lions because, they had that touchdown. But, I mean, they gave up 26 points and still got 15 fantasy points on defense. So, I mean, they've shown games against the Packers, they got 12. They've had games where they're capable of at least giving you a solid fantasy week. And this week very well could be one of those games. With all the changes, with the hype around the team right now, the morale seems to be up. We'll have to see.
Yes, indeed. And with that, we will go into our next game, which honestly be the best football game of the week, just objectively. We have the Dallas Cowboys going into Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Why this game? I mean, no, that's just not even. I know why they put the Bills at Bengals as the Sunday night game.
But what about the Monday night game?
Why this wasn't the Monday night game? That is a valid question. Why are we watching the Chargers and Jets in prime instead of the Cowboys? That is a valid question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should it have gotten flexed weeks ago? Hell yes.
Probably.
But it didn't.
So here we are.
That's where we are. Yeah, we're watching this Cowboys and Eagles game at 1:25 instead of prime time. So there goes Marshawn Lloyd. Okay. Yeah, so I don't really even want to. This one, just a lot of these games feel really simple. There's not much like nuance to it, I guess, because you're starting CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard.
You have to.
You don't have a choice. You're
No.
starting him. I'm starting Brandon Cooks this week personally. If you have to start,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
well, I mean, he's had 2 games in a row with a touchdown.
Uh-huh.
And look at what the Eagles secondary's been giving
Yeah.
up.
No,
If he is going to be the second option in this offense against the secondary that has been Swiss cheese,
yeah.
I mean, it's not like I went out and started. Drake London's out.
Yeah.
And that was my wide receiver 3. So right now I have him in my wide receiver 3 spot with Josh Downs as my flex, just not knowing whether or not Downs is going to play. So that's the position that I'm in to provide a little more clarity.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
Okay.
oh, first down, Caleb. Let's go. Oh, okay. Yes. So start your Cowboys.
Yeah.
Even
Jake Ferguson. Yeah.
If you want to start Gallup, by all means.
I like the Dak start this week.
Dak should crush it this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of the ball as well. I mean, it should be a tough matchup, but I don't care. Starting A.J. Brown, firing up Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, go ahead and fire him up. Devontae Smith might be tough, but you're throwing him out there.
You have to. And go there.
And go there.
Yeah.
Both kickers, neither defense. These defenses have been good some weeks fantasy-wise, but
this could be a high-powered one.
I'd prefer to stay away from.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't even have anything to add. I just agree with everything you just said. That'll take us to Sunday night with the Bills at the Bengals. Do you want me to kick it off, or do you want to?
I mean, the Bills are going into Cincinnati, so
yeah, go with the Bills.
I feel like both of these, it's really simple. A lot of these matchups it's pretty simple this week. I mean, you have to start Josh Allen. Absolutely same with Stephon Diggs.
Kincaid's a must start.
Gabe Davis. Huh?
Kincaid.
Oh yeah, Kincaid. Of course.
He's a for sure start.
I think James Cook should have a good week. I'm a little worried, but nonetheless, you're throwing him out there. Gabe Davis. I can't sit here and say, oh, I think Gabe Davis is going to have a good week. I don't know what the hell Gabe Davis is going to do. I don't. None of us
throw
do.
him out there and pray.
If you find me one person who can predict what Gabe Davis does on a week-to-week basis, bring them to me, because that is like impossible to do. So I think you could start him this week, but just know what to expect, or know what he can give you, rather, which is either 20 or more or 5 or less.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, I mean, it's pretty simple. I think we can keep an eye on Khalil Shakir, just due to the fact that the Bills ran a lot of 2 tight end, as you could see with Kincaid and Dawson Knox both being out there a lot before Dawson Knox got hurt. That's why you saw their snap percentages be about equal, because they're both out there a lot of the time. And, well, now with their tight end gone, they're going back to using
the third
another wide receiver.
And
that happens to be Khalil Shakir. And he happened to kind of boom last game.
Yeah.
Everything was going to him. It was kind of weird. But no, I do think that he's someone that you don't have to by any means start him this week. But there's guys that I'd rather roster Khalil Shakir if he's going to be used that much in this good of an offense. Throw him on your roster.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, yeah, and, to give context, how I said, I don't hate the Raiders start this week. The other defense I have is the Bills defense. We've seen how the Bengals have been playing recently. We've seen the Bills defense. They've kind of gotten,
Quick side note. What number is Raleek Brown?
14.
He just scored a touchdown.
All right, we're going to have to side note that for now. We'll come back to that. But I hope it really was. I hope I wasn't incorrect with his number, but I'm pretty sure 14. Yeah, when I'm looking
Shouts
at
out.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
shouts out Raleek, Stockton's finest for real.
Yeah.
When I look at the Bills' defense and just they've gotten exposed a couple, recently. The Bengals just
Mhm.
we saw how they played against the Niners. It's just a scary matchup where the Bills. It's This is a very divided subject because some fantasy managers, if you have a very solid defense, you're willing to hold on to that defense while picking up another one, which means you're having to drop a receiver, a tight end, a running back, a quarterback, a different position. Some aren't willing to do that and they'll just dump the defense. I do not want to drop the Bills defense completely,
I
but
did the same thing with the Cowboys defense this week.
but
They're
I
playing the
possibly
Eagles.
wanted to pivot. So I had to add another defense. I think the Raiders have a much better chance of having a successful week defensively against the Giants than the Bills do against the Bengals. That just
That's
to
fair.
give more context. But on the Bengals side of the ball, I think it's kind of the same thing. You're firing up Joe Burrow. He has finally come alive. I mean, his past 3 weeks, 24, 14, and 27. Thank you, Joe Burrow. He threw 2 touchdowns through the first 4 weeks, and he has thrown 8 through the last 3. Joe Burrow is getting back to form. We mentioned Joe Mixon was questionable, and with that chest injury, he did practice in full Thursday and Friday, so I'm unsure why the Bengals still have him as questionable. All signs point towards him playing. He is someone you're firing up. Jamar Chase, obviously. T. Higgins. You have to. You probably have to. I just doubt you're in a position where you're that deep at wide receiver that you just can't play. Like, you could just leave him on the bench. He's a guy you're probably going to have to play.
I kind of feel bad personally for you, just due to the fact that you have T. Higgins and Gabe Davis, and they're like the same damn person. And it's like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Sit them and watch them score 25 on my bench, or
Mm-hmm.
start them? And when I start them, they're going to give me 6.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
like
it's tough.
you can't do anything, but it
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah.
Tyler Boyd's another guy that has scored double digits the past 2 weeks. This past week against the Niners, he only had 3 targets, caught all 3 for 40 yards and a touchdown. That's why he was double digits. He's another guy where I'm like, if you are super high on the Bengals offense and you think they're going to pop again against Buffalo, throw him in at the flex. If not,
Yeah.
there may be better options out there. Like in Shift's situation, if Drake London had not got hurt, just saying, like I like Josh Downs more than Tyler Boyd. So you could have
Yes.
better
Yes.
options
Yes.
for a flex position, but if Tyler Boyd's what you're looking at, then that's what you're dealing with. Irv Smith is still Irv Smith. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Evan McPherson, I don't hate the start this week. He's super low on, he's the 21st ranked kicker in fantasy this season, but that's because of how horrendous the Bengals were to start the
Their
season.
start was, yeah.
They've been scoring much more efficiently. So, I mean, I don't hate that start. And I also like keeping, if you can have a solid kicker or a defense that's a Sunday or a Monday night, it's always exciting when Evan McPherson could possibly be deciding your fantasy matchup and you're relying on a kicker. Those are always the funniest. So
I tend to hate that.
yeah. But that's it.
But yeah, all right. With that, we will get into our final game, which is the Chargers heading to New York to take on the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they decided this would be a great primetime game. I mean, I guess at the beginning of the season, Justin Herbert versus Aaron Rodgers didn't look too bad, but they do have the ability to flex games, and Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1. So I don't know what's going on there. But we have to talk about it nonetheless. The Chargers, I mean, yes, the Jets have been very good on defense. In fact, they've been one of the toughest against fantasy wide receivers and running backs. Does that matter? No. With as you're starting Austin Eckler, you're never even asking yourself that question. Same goes for Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
This week, Josh Palmer happens to be out. So I believe, see, I want to say that Quentin Johnston should be a good start this week.
I don't know if I trust it though.
It's hard to, I mean, he had his first solid outing last week.
Yeah.
5 catches for 50 yards. And given the fact that Palmer's not going to be playing, do I trust him? No. if I'm in a position where he's available or I have him and I need to pivot to him, am I starting him? Yes,
Yeah.
because the Chargers throw the ball a lot and they don't have Palmer out there. So I don't think it's going to be much of a choice, but for him to get a decent amount of work. I mean, I think like 5-6 targets, whatever he does with those, there you'll have it.
Yeah.
And then Gerald Everett.
Maybe because Palmer's out.
I don't think in this. Yeah.
That's why I say maybe. But
Yeah.
I mean,
It's hard, but yeah.
His only 2 double-digit weeks, he caught a touchdown.
Exactly. So, I mean,
if you think he's going to get in the end zone,
that way. I really wouldn't prefer that start this week.
No.
Obviously, you're not starting the Chargers defense, even though they're playing the Jets. That is not a good defense. And yeah, Cameron Dicker, fire him up.
Well, here, I'll end this. I mean, I said I was going to do this, and I am. When you think of the Jets, you think of Breece Hall, and you think of Garrett Wilson. Tyler Conklin hasn't been consistent enough. Zach Wilson, that's it. And then, Lazard as the wide receiver too, just, again, not consistent enough. The 2 guys you fire up are Breece, Garrett Wilson. And that's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hate to make this episode so, melodramatic, but
that's what it was.
Man, that's kind of how the matchups were this week. Yeah. I mean, there's not too much to really, given the buys and the matchups, it's very black and white who you're starting. And that's about it. I mean, if you have any start-sit questions, guys that you're close on, kind of on the line about, go ahead and ask us. You can DM us on any platform. If you need any help with anything, like we said, if you wanted to get into our group for the picks, anything you guys may need, we're here for you for everything. So just go ahead and ask away. And Derek, if you got anything else?
No, you covered it all. And that's why, when it's kind of a not, gosh, I can't even think of the right word. When it's not exciting matchups, that's why we say, drop a comment about start sits, because those are the toughest questions. When you're thinking about 2 guys, it's Saturday night, it's Sunday morning, and you're like, which one do I start? We're here for you. Drop the comments. Yeah, we will get the answer.
You might be in a position where you're like, okay, I have Devin Singletary or Kareem Hunt, something like that. It's like, go ahead and ask us. Let us know what you need help with. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in every week, though, and every episode.
Come back next episode and take more reps with the first team.
Yes, sir.